tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business. It's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today is Thursday, so you know it's time for Happy Healthy Habits with Robin Shimizu and friends. We want to give a shout out to my partner, Miss Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva, who is our producer and operating things in the background. Hey, Fran. And today I want to introduce the summer, present to others, Miss Robin Shimizu. Hey, Robin, how you doing this morning?
Great. Good to see you,
Good.
Terry. I
It's
wanted
great
you
to
to
see.
share with I wanted you to share people with people today where you're at, Terry, because I think you and Francine are so dedicated. You guys will be in New York and still doing your show. You guys are on vacation and still doing your show. It's amazing. So where are you?
Well, today I am in Pennsylvania. I am in the capital, which is Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I'm here as a result of an experiment. I was traveling and some things happened and I didn't get on the flight. So I decided to fly to Pennsylvania because I have family here. My brother's here. I'm at his house, as you can see. And I flew to Pennsylvania instead of coming home. And I've been here for about 2 weeks without luggage. So that's the experiment. Can you travel light? So I've been able to travel extremely light. My sister-in-law has provided me with everything I need. It's like, oh, you need a dress here. I was like, okay. So it's been really interesting to be able to declutter my whole baggage thing. And now I understand how the kids did were able to go all over Europe with just a backpack. So it's kind of fun.
It's a very scary thing too to do something like that, right? I mean, because it's unknown and you haven't done it before, and
Well,
so
it's
that's
different.
awesome.
It's
Yeah,
different, but
yeah.
I don't. It was never scary.
Okay.
It was just different. I have a thing. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's just different. So getting off of the plane in Pennsylvania, because I don't fly into Philadelphia on a regular basis. So navigating that airport and then navigating from the airport to the train station and coming into this city by train from Philadelphia. That was interesting because I wasn't used to using a large station. Penn Station in Philadelphia is pretty
Oh.
large. But the nice thing about it is they have food everywhere. You name fast food, it's in the Philadelphia train station. So, since
Oh,
we're talking happy, healthy habits, let's stop talking about fast food.
okay, don't. Okay. I just wanted to share with people because I think you both are so amazing. Thank you, Francine, in the background. Anyway, today our guest will be Lynnis Woods-Mullins, and she's going to join us in just a few minutes. But I thought I would start out the talk today because talking about water again. You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
hot. It's we always want to hydrate when it's hot like this. It reminds us to
Yes.
drink water. However, this is something I found last night that I thought was really fun to and to share with you. So, did you know that by drinking water, you actually can boost your weight loss? And it's
Mm.
very, very easy to do. So, what the recommended amount of water is about 65 ounces a day, which is about 8 cups of water. It doesn't matter.
Mm.
I mean, your size matters, of course, but if you drink about that 8 cups of water a day, you're going to do pretty good, 8 to 10 cups. And so they say if you drink 30 minutes before you have your meal, you will boost your metabolism for an hour and 15 minutes by 30%, which burns about 100 calories more than you would
Really?
normally burn. And that's just by drinking some water half an hour before your meal. Isn't that great?
That is amazing.
Yeah,
I
it's
need.
scientifically based. There's two studies that have demonstrated this is in fact true.
Mhm.
So just drink a big glass of water half hour before you start your meal, and you will boost your metabolism, and it will help you lose weight.
That is
And
amazing.
yeah, and it will
That
increase your
is
weight loss by
amazing,
44%.
Robin. I had no idea that it could be just that simple.
Yeah, so it's just a habit that if we can get into
Well, I'm
drinking
going to
that
set
water.
my phone to notify me.
Right before you. Hi,
To
Lynnis.
notify me that I need to drink some
Hi.
water. Good morning.
Oh,
How
I'm
are you
sorry.
this
I've
morning?
been sitting in the studio for about 10 minutes. I don't know what happened. I've been sitting right here. How are you, everybody?
Hello.
Real
You look
good.
beautiful as usual.
Oh, thank you.
Did you hear my happy, healthy habit this morning, Lynnis?
I don't know. Can she hear us?
I'm not sure she can
I
hear
can
us.
I
I
can
think
I can hear you. It's a little delayed, but I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
yes, yes.
All right. Good.
Okay.
Okay, so let me just quickly introduce Lynnis. She's been our guest many times before, and we're always so enthralled and happy that she's able to join us. She is a holistic wellness and living coach expert for women over the age of 40. And she's an author, she's an entrepreneur, she's a coach, she's a mentor. She pretty much knows the gamut in terms of our health and wellness. And so it's pretty much any subject we can talk about. She's very, very well versed. So today, Lynnis is going to talk to us about intermittent fasting. So Lynnis, would you like to add to my introduction?
No,
And
no,
then,
that's fine. Thanks so much for letting me come by. I can hear the teapot in the background going off. I hope my husband will turn it off because I don't want to get up in the middle of the show and go turn it off. So forgive the tea thing ringing in the background there. Yeah, I want to talk about intermittent fasting. A lot of people, I know a lot of people are talking about it, and I just kind of wanted to kind of explain what it is. And basically, intermittent fasting is just giving your body an opportunity to have a break from digestion. Some of the benefits of intermittent fasting could be to kind of reboot your system. Also, it might be a good start for healthy weight loss. It's something to do before you start a new diet plan. And it also gives the body an opportunity to have a break from the digestive process. We introduce to our bodies a lot of food during the course of the time. And sometimes our bodies just need a break, just like we need a break sometimes. We are always busy all the time, moving all the time, and you just need to stop for a minute. And that's what intermittent fasting is. There's different kinds of intermittent fasting. There's 6 ways I was going to cover with you all real quickly. And in all of these ways, there is maybe some intake of food, definitely intake of liquids, and it has to do with the amount of time that you're going to do an intermittent fasting, whether amount of hours and how many days. The first one is the 16-8 method, and it's like 16 hours for men, 14 to 15 hours for women. And on each day, you restrict your eating to an 8 to 10 hour eating window where you can fit in 2 to 3 meals. And then in between all of that, then you have a whole 16 hours for men, 14 to 15 hours for women where you do not eat. You can drink water and coffee, and you want to try to help with the hunger levels when you're not, eating. And when you are eating, you want to make sure to eat healthy foods. And all this during intermittent fasting, if you're going to be returning to eating, you want to go back to eating healthy foods, not junk foods. That defeats the whole purpose in terms of giving your body a break. Another one that I've used before is the 5-2 diet, where you fast for 2 days per week. And that involves eating normally 5 days a week while restricting calories to 500 to 600 calories for the 2 days a week. So for 5 days a week, you eat normally, hopefully healthy. And then for 2 days a week, you only eat about 500 to 600 calories a day. And it's been very popular in Britain. This is something that was first done by a doctor named Michael Mosley, who is a big nutrition and fitness guy in the UK. And people have had success in doing this as well. The other one is the Eat, Stop, Eat. You do a 24-hour fast once or twice a week, and then you eat in between that. But again, you want to make sure while you're eating in between that you're eating healthy. Okay, so it's not like you fast for 24 hours and you go and get a pizza and drink Diet Coke for the other times when you're not fasting. So you want to keep in mind that intermittent fasting is to jumpstart your metabolism, maybe to help you change some eating habits and get you ready for maybe whatever diet you might decide you're going to put yourself on. It kind of cleans your system out and gets you ready, and, gets your ready, and, gets your metabolism going. Another one is alternative day fasting, where you or you fast every other day. And there's all kinds of different versions about this, but most people try to keep their calories to 500 when they do eat. So when they're fasting. So when they're fasting every other day, that day when they're fasting is 500 calories. And then the other day they go back to regular eating. Another one is the warrior diet, which is fasting during the day and eating a huge meal at night. Now, this was popular with a fitness expert called Ori Hofmeckler. I've taken a couple of his classes, and he does a lot of raw food eating. So when he's talking about eating a huge meal at night, the huge meal would be fruits and vegetables, not steak, a baked potato, and macaroni and cheese. Okay, so this would be healthy food. Now, there are, there's one more, that's right. Spontaneous meal skipping meals when convenient, which is not really what I consider intermittent fasting. I wouldn't recommend this, but it is a form of intermittent fasting. And the reason why I wouldn't recommend it is I like the idea of having a plan of how you're going to change your eating habits. You're going to be doing intermittent fasting. I like the idea of preparing your own foods and being very strategic and focused on doing it and not being kind of haphazard. There are a couple other things. People wonder, well, are there any side effects with fasting and intermittent fasting? And I don't know if there's any side effects, but you might feel hungry, in between the fasting. You might feel like, a little groggy some days. You definitely want to drink liquids during this time. You don't want to fast not drinking any liquids and not, anything like that. It's important that you drink liquids as well. And some other things is that you might overeat when it's your time to eat. You want to be careful about that. You might feel a little irritable because you're not eating normally. And you want to make sure that you're careful about any alcohol intake during this time. I'm not saying you can't have any alcohol, but I think it makes sense if you're doing intermittent fasting and your goal is to clean out your system, jumpstart your metabolism, and maybe get ready for more healthier eating. Then I would say no, do not drink any alcohol because that might defeat the purpose. It just depends on what it is that you want to do. Someone asked me about how long should you do intermittent fasting. It depends. Some people might do intermittent fasting on a regular basis. That's just the way they eat. Others do it for a specific amount of time. Now, and I'm talking about intermittent fasting for health purposes, not religious or spiritual purposes. That's a whole different venue. But for spiritual or religious purposes, you could use these kinds of programs for your fasting if you wanted to. Sometimes what churches do is they have a plan. Like one of the popular fasts is the Daniel fast, which is based upon the scripture in the Bible in terms of what you should and should not eat and when you should eat and all that. So that's another form of fasting as well. I think that what you will find if you do the fasting, you might have more energy. You definitely would have jumpstarted your metabolism. You might be thinking more clearly. Your cognitive abilities might be better. That gray fog that we feel might be gone. I think that in most cases, the people's blood sugars even out a little bit more, and you're more conscious about what you're putting in your mouth. You're more conscious about the foods that you're eating. When you're doing intermittent fasting, and let's say it's your day to eat, you might think twice about going and stopping and get some sugar donuts and that new Popeye's chicken sandwich that everybody's talking about. So it just depends on your preference. I'm not saying that you don't want to eat meats when you're doing the intermittent fasting, but if you do decide to eat meats, what you should do is go for the lean cut, not the sirloin or the pork chop or anything. Lean beef and organic beef is possible because they've been fed organic grains and not genetically modified grains or anything like that. Same thing with the chickens. If you're eating eggs, organic eggs, try to eat organic when you're doing intermittent fasting. And that would be great because that way you are not only helping clean out your system even further by not eating foods that have been sprayed with chemicals and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So, got any questions going on in the studio yet?
Well, we do once a year. I do the Daniel fast, and that's interesting. And it doesn't. it seems like it doesn't involve a lot of meat.
No,
Um,
it doesn't.
so they're replacing that meat with beans. What else can I
Well,
replace it with?
you rice and beans, also fish.
Mm.
And I really suggest the fatty fish because the fatty fish are so good for so many other things. They're good for reducing inflammation in your system. They are a good protein that doesn't have all the fat in it. But they're called fatty fish because they have a lot. They're good with omega-3, which is a
Oh.
very important fat. So salmon,
Mm.
sardines, mackerel. I know there's two other ones that come into the top of my mind, but yeah, if you are going to do the fasting, I personally just don't eat any flesh at all when I'm fasting.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I really don't eat a lot of flesh at all, period. You know,
Mm.
after my dad passed in May, I picked up about, I don't know, anywhere from 5 to 10 pounds. It depends on what scale I'm on. And so I have been working on making some changes to lose that weight.
Mm.
It didn't feel good. I mean, I could tell. I don't know if anybody else could tell, but I could tell my face was rounder and had a little something going on
I
right
hear
here.
you.
And so I was like, okay, I'm getting rid of that. So one of the things that I did was I got rid of all the flesh, which I don't normally eat anyway. But I also
Mm-hmm.
reduced my fiber because fiber does help to burn fat. And here's the interesting thing about fat. When you have fat cells, when you're eating that processed food, the bad stuff hides in the fat cells, which causes
Ah.
weight gain. You know, and I can't say enough. And we'll talk about, I don't know if we've ever talked about the whole sugar thing, but we'll talk about sugar next time I come on because
Oh, good.
there's been some new reports on sugar. And after I finish talking to you about sugar, everybody will want to reduce their sugar
Mm.
considerably. Sugar has been tied to so many things that make us ill. But the other thing is that extra fat that we're carrying, it can be the source of so many other things that are causing issues besides just obesity. You know,
Mm.
I watched a video the other day. It was a proposal video, and everybody's family was there to see him propose to her, and it was such a beautiful thing. But there was one thing that I noticed that I just I couldn't get past it. Everybody in the video, with the exception of the one or two kids, and there are about 40 people, and all the women,
Mm-hmm.
including the bride, they were all obese and they were not
Wow.
all members of the same family, I don't think. So I'm like,
Uh-huh.
wow. Now, some people say, well, you know, that's just not my fault. That's how my family is. We're just big boned it. I cannot tell you enough how much I just totally reject that idea. I know some people have other issues because of metabolism.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the metabolism is because of the medications that they're taking, the lack of exercise, the chronic stress they're under, and what they put in their mouth. Studies have shown that if you don't do a lick of exercise, but watch what you eat and
Uh-huh.
what you put in your mouth, you will still lose weight. Maybe not as quickly as you would like, but you'll still lose weight. So when I see that obesity, I realize that people are, first of all, in denial about how they're feeling because they all looked uncomfortable. But the other thing is that it's a lifestyle thing. It's more than just what they're eating. Probably stress, not exercising enough, probably medication they might be taking. Because when you're obese, more than likely you're taking some kind of medication for high blood pressure, high cholesterol, something.
Mm.
So it's not so much about the way it looked. I was thinking to myself, wow, that's a sick family. And I don't mean sick like the way our kids might use, oh, that's sick. No, I mean sick saying that they are a sick family. They are a heart disease and a stroke away from being less in numbers. Because for women, that's what the number one killer is. It is the stroke and heart disease, not breast cancer. We hear a lot about breast cancer, but it is the stroke and heart disease. Heart disease is number one, stroke is number two. And among African American women and women of color, it's stroke. And that is directly correlated to high blood pressure that can be tied to how we eat. Intermittent fasting is one way to get you to jumpstart the whole idea of changing your diet. Because when you're intermittent fasting, you're going to, maybe eat more fruits and vegetables you do eat, and not grab that ding dong or, broil that steak. You're going to, do some other stuff. And so what happens is hopefully if you're doing intermittent fasting, and most people do the intermittent fasting for a week or 2 weeks, that when you go back to your regular eating, all of a sudden you decide, you know what, I really don't think I want to eat that anymore because I feel so much better when I'm not. When you stop eating those things, your body is going to be like, whoa, wait a minute. And you'll get the cravings and stuff. But then after a while, you begin to notice, God, I feel so much better. And as you begin to realize that you feel so much better, that's when you begin to want to make that permanent change of not wanting to eat those things. So it can start, making a change in your eating lifestyle can start with intermittent fasting, and you choose a fasting plan that encourages you to eat healthy, in between the times when you are supposed to be eating.
One of the things I really liked that you said today, Lynnis, that really hit home for me is the fact that just starting and thinking about intermittent fasting makes you more conscious about your eating and then how you feel about it when you're not fasting.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can make it a lifestyle. I mean, you could make intermittent fasting part of what you do every day. You make a
it's
decision.
part of my lifestyle. It's part of my
Sorry?
lifestyle. Yeah. Today, as a matter of fact, I won't be eating anything until this evening. And when I do, I'm going to be eating a salad, which is basically all I've been eating. And it's really interesting. I do have to tell you my results. Okay. I decided in July, I think it was after July 4th, definitely. So it was like about July 10th or something like that. And I, did all my measurements and stuff. And yesterday, I realized I have lost almost 3 inches from my waist. Now, the interesting thing about it, I
Mm-hmm.
have not lost that much weight, but because I've been walking, jogging, swimming, and lifting weights and doing yoga, I am increasing my muscle mass. And so that muscle mass weighs more. So it's not just what's on the scale. It's what, it's going on with your inches. Go for losing inches, not necessarily pounds. And I think that as we get older, let's face it, we do gain weight. I mean, think about it. If you're into celebrities, except for the ones that, suck stuff out of them, which to me makes them look emaciated. You can tell, like, what's wrong with their heads all big, and then their body's all little. And you're like, what's wrong with that picture? And they're 65. That's what's wrong with that picture. They're not supposed to be that thin. So yeah, we're going to pick up the weight anyway, but that weight doesn't have to be the result of fat. Okay. It doesn't have to be all fat. So go for taking a look at your BMI and reducing, your BMI, which is your body mass index. And it varies depending on your age or whatever. But you can begin to, burn the fat by eating fat burning foods that can help you burn fat. Strength training definitely burns fat. There's no doubt about it. Eating more fiber, an apple a day. There's a reason why I say it keeps it all away. Apple, avocado, those are high in fiber. And measuring yourself instead. And you'll be like, wow, you'll be surprised. That strength training is huge. It's good for your bone health. It's also good for jumpstarting your metabolism, but it also gets those feel good hormones going, and will reduce. And because your feel good hormones are coming, it begins to reduce those other hormones that get secreted when we're under stress. And cortisol, of course, is the main culprit that's secreted when we're under stress, and that's what thickens us. You get all in the middle. You have more cortisol coming out when you're in menopause anyway. It's coming out anyway. And then you add the stress that we're normally under, plus the cortisol that's coming out anyway, plus, whatever extra added stress as you get older with menopause, get near retirement, grandbabies being born, whatever it is, you got quadruple cortisol. That's another reason why we get thicker. One way to get rid of that cortisol, strength training, which helps to get rid of the stress, also meditation. That's a whole nother conversation, how you can lose weight through meditation. You absolutely can. Yes, you can.
Wow.
Lynnis,
so
maybe
much.
one of these days you could do a program with us that just gives us all kinds of hints about what are the various ways you can just do some things differently just to lose a little bit of weight. So what happens, I think, is people get impatient when they decide they want to go on a healthy journey and they want to start taking on, a different kind of lifestyle. The most important thing is to stick with it and to be patient with it. And I think people often just don't have the patience that it takes to make change. Like it took you 2 months, right? Between the time you made your decision that you wanted to do something. And here it is September, almost September. So in 2 months, you lost those 3 inches.
Mhm.
However, you worked on it
Mhm.
for a couple of months. And I think that's part of the thing about losing weight. People get tired of waiting for the results, and it just
Right.
takes time.
Well,
It took a lot.
I'm glad you brought that up because it took a while for you to gain that weight. So it's going to take a
Mhm.
while for you to release that weight. And I think one of the reasons why I lost the inches so quickly, because I focused on it, but also because my body wasn't comfortable at that weight. So now it's going back to what it was before I gained that extra weight as a result of grieving for my dad. So it wants to lose it because it's not comfortable. When you hit a plateau, let's say you're trying to lose weight, when you hit
Yes.
a plateau, a lot of times that's because your body's like, okay, I feel okay with that. That doesn't mean that you still can't lose the weight, but be prepared for that. Your body is going to plateau, and then you're going to, as a result, make a couple of other adjustments to keep it going. Like maybe instead of walking around that same block all the time every morning, you're going to change where you're going to walk and maybe make it further, or maybe you're going to jog half of the way instead of walk, or maybe you're going to increase your water by another 2 glasses, or maybe you're going to go for even less sugar by not eating any processed foods. I mean, there's ways to get past that plateau, and then once you make those changes, then it starts to go again. Or maybe you're going to increase your meditation. So yes, you're absolutely right. My results, I think, are because of a couple of things. I added more fiber consciously, which I don't normally do. I mean, I eat avocado, but I don't normally eat apples. But I also got a fiber powder that I added. That made a difference. The only problem with it is, and my husband hates this part, is I pass gas at night.
Okay.
I wake up in the morning and there's fans and candles and stuff out in the bedroom. So that could be. But here's another thing that can be if you have a coach or you're working on weight loss with a group, they can encourage you when you hit those plateaus and when you get frustrated. Now, I have to give a plug. I am going to be creating something called the Midlife Wellness Woman 40 and Beyond Midlife Boot Camp. It's going to be starting in September, and I will let you know. I'll share it with the group, and you guys can post it if you want when it's going to be starting. And this will be a Facebook group, and we're going to be focusing on the different things that come up during midlife. The hormone imbalances, the weight gain, the feelings of chronic stress, the gray fog and lack of focus, all the different things that happen as we age. But we're also going to be doing vision boards, virtual vision boards, talking about retirement planning and finances, talking about maybe how to set goals and objectives and intentions. Because what happens a lot of times when we get to that 40, 50, 60 thing, we start evaluating our lives and it's like, oh God, where do we start? So the Midlife Bootcamp is going to give you lots of information and ideas on how to start and where to start. And definitely we're going to be covering weight gain and also loving yourself and being patient with yourself as you start this journey. Exciting journey. Midlife is fantastic and exciting journey. It's a fun journey.
Well, I'm glad you said that.
It's a fun. It is. I'm having a great time. It's a fun journey. I mean, you can choose to be miserable during this process, or you could choose not to be. It's a choice.
Well, every day's a choice, right, Lynnis?
Yes,
It's a choice.
every day.
So I am really glad that you gave us the information, those tips about what we could do, the extra water and maybe pumping up the fiber, or because sometimes we get there, like you said, and it's just so discouraging
Mm-hmm,
not to see needles moving or tape measures changing,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and we do give up.
And don't forget too, when you're trying to lose weight or inches, you want to make sure you're getting plenty of rest. You have to allow your body to break all the way down so the metabolism will start. So you've got to get a full night's sleep. You're not going to lose weight if you're only sleeping 4 hours a day. Whatever your body requirement is, make sure you get that. So if you know your body requirement is 8 hours and you're getting 6, but you're still feeling okay, go for the 8. Even if that means you go to bed a little earlier, or you drink some sleepy time tea, or take some melatonin, or snort some lavender, whatever it is. Make sure that you are resting or taking naps during the day. You have to give your body an opportunity to break down so that it can work through what you've introduced to the system and repair itself. The body repairs itself at night when we're in our deepest form of sleep. That's when it repairs itself. That's why you see a lot of people who work at night they may begin to have weight gain as well. And it's not just because they're eating snacks, sitting like at the table, while they're at the desk like they did during the day. It's because their sleep pattern is different than what their body is used to, and they haven't yet gotten their body to get into that deep, deep sleep. And sometimes it never happens because if you're working like nights, hopefully when you are sleeping during the day, you're getting that deep sleep. And maybe that's because you've turned off everything in the house like it would be normally if you were sleeping during the night, and you've got dark curtains to not let the light in. Those kinds of things are real important, so you can get that deeper sleep. If you're working at night, turn off the TV, of course, but also move your phones out of the room, because that light that comes out, even if the phone isn't on, but like maybe you're getting text messages are coming up and the light comes on or whatever, even if the sound is off, that light is a light that keeps your brain awake. I mean, it sees through your eyes, and it wakes up the brain. That it's not called ultraviolet light, but it's the light the cell phones give off.
Yes, that blue light.
Yeah, yes, and that gives off a wavelength that wakes up our brains. So try not to sleep with your phone in the room, which is a bad habit that I have. It's one of the reasons why I got a landline. So if something happens, the kids can call me on the landline, instead of, calling me on my cell phone. That's the only reason why I would keep it by my bed, is because, something happens with my adult children. But now I just have my landline next to my bed, and I keep my cell phone in my office, to charge while I'm sleeping. The cell phone's charging, and I'm recharging.
I love it. I think we did a show on sleep, didn't we, Robin?
Yes, we did.
And how important it was. So, but I didn't realize that, different persons need different hours.
Yes.
So some people can get by on 6, and some people need the full 8. Or
yes. 8 hours is too much for me. I just can't do it. I mean, if I go to bed I usually go to bed like at 8 o'clock. My eyes are wide open, ready to go by 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. That's it.
Yes.
But others, need to have that full 8 hours, or they're not feeling right. Now, if I have anything less than 6 hours, 5 hours and 30 minutes, 5 hours, 4 hours and 30 minutes, I can especially feel it at this age. Back in the day, I couldn't feel it as much, but I can tell. And sometimes I get going with working and I can't stop. I want to finish writing this thing or whatever. And it's like, past my bedtime. I already know tomorrow morning I'm not going to be worth crap. I already know it. I'm going to be just not feeling right, because I would not have gotten enough hours. Because the other thing is that I will still get up at my normal time. It's hard for me to stay asleep a little bit longer, even though I haven't had the full 6 hours.
Can we really make up the time? Like if our normal time to go to bed is 8, and we go to bed at 10, but we sleep the full 6 hours, if that's our normal time, is that really making it up, or do we feel it sluggish because we're out of pattern?
No, you should still, the full 6 hours should still be okay. It still should be okay. The problem is that the body clock normally will wake you up before the full 6 hours. And some people can wake up and then go back to sleep. Others can wake up and they lie there and toss and turn and find out, I'm just going to get up. And that could be exhausting too. Trying to go back to sleep to get those extra hours can be exhausting. So the best thing to do is try to go to bed the same time every time. That's the best thing. And for me now, I mean, it's funny. If I have something going on and stuff and I'm active and engaged, I can stay up. But if my friends come over and we're just talking, I normally go to bed by 8 or 9, and they're over here at 10 o'clock. They're talking to themselves or the TV or my husband, because I'm like this. I'm out. I'm just gone. That's just how my body clock works. I used to be a night owl, early morning. I wasn't sleeping very much the majority of my 30s and 40s, because I was raising my children. I was climbing that corporate ladder. But I do believe that part of that kind of sleeping pattern and lifestyle added to my anxiety disorder when I was finally diagnosed when I was 51. I think that added to it. Sleep really is an opportunity for a breakdown of your body, your system. We've got to start learning how to be what I call human beings, just being, instead of human doings, constantly doing all the time. Just keeping your mind in general, I think, especially in midlife, we should be at the lesson where less really is more.
It really is. And Terry, when you're on travel status, it's
Yes.
even more difficult for you to get your regular sleep. So you have to be even more intentional to get to go to bed and
Yes.
get to, because what I've been trying to do is change my mindset around going to sleep and saying, okay, now I get to go to sleep as compared to, oh, I got to go to bed. I got to, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to
Yes.
change my attitude towards sleeping because I always felt like I wanted to get one more thing done or whatever. So you got to be more careful when you're on travel status because your brain isn't really resting because you're not home. And so
Oh, because I'm in
like
a
you have
different environment.
yeah.
Mm,
Sleep
okay.
is so
Oh
important.
yeah,
I know.
that definitely makes a difference. It does. Your body can make the adjustment, but that does make if you are. I used to travel a lot too, and after a while, sleep just wasn't an option because my thing was to leave early in the morning and get back late at night, so the kids would be up when they woke up, and I
Mhm.
would do that kind of thing with deadheads, like to Texas and Arizona, all those different places, Ohio. I think I even was able to do it in Ohio too. I'd be like 4 or 5 in the morning and get back at 7 or 8 o'clock at night or something like that. But
Wow.
it does wreak havoc with your body after a while because it's first of all, it's not healthy being in those planes all the time,
Mm,
of course, and it's also not healthy because you're just not getting enough rest. You're just not. And yes, I was home when my kids got up or home by the time they went to bed and everything else, but I was totally depleted. And so I wasn't really doing them that much good by being there. Yeah, mommy's here, but I'm like this.
she's a zombie, right?
Yeah, so you have to be gracious with yourself and give yourself enough time to adjust to the time zone when you return home or to adjust the time zone when you get there. And usually everybody's different, but usually 2 to 3 days and you're adjusted, usually,
Mm,
into the time zone living there.
okay. Wow. So,
So, Lynnis, if somebody wants to go on a start a journey or just start experimenting with intermittent fasting, how would you recommend they start? Just ease into it, or what would you say
I
would
would
be a
I
good
would
first
say to
week?
choose one of the plans. The one that I like that I think that is probably the easiest to do is the let me find it. I'm looking at my notes here.
The 16/8.
The 16/8. Yeah, I think that's the
Yeah.
easiest to do. For women it's 14/15. A lot of women have a tendency to skip dinner or to skip breakfast for whatever reason. Of course, breakfast is the most important part of the day, but what you can do is, drink something healthy. But I like the 16/8 method, where you don't eat for 16 hours and then you have 8 hours to eat. So you can figure out what works right with you. And then when you do the 8 hours, go for, low carb. If you just have to eat meat, try to eat fish and lots of fruits and vegetables and watch your alcohol intake and you will get some results from that as well. The other thing,
And cut out sugar.
yeah, right. And cut out as much sugar as possible, which means if you're going to
Yeah.
do that, that means you're not going to be eating a lot of processed foods because sugar is
Yeah.
in processed foods. It's in your salad dressings. It's in your
Mm.
ketchup, relish, cereals. I mean, all your processed foods because they have corn syrup in it, to enhance the flavor. Tomato soup that you get in the can. I love to eat that, even though I know it's not good for me because it reminds me of my childhood. But if I'm trying to lose weight, then no, you don't need that. So yeah, all that stuff. Just read the labels. But
mm,
one good thing, if you're preparing it yourself, you don't have to read the labels because you know what you put in it. So yeah.
that's true.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And food preparation, which is something we should talk about, because I do menu planning as well, and I plan the meals based upon creating a shopping list, and then that shopping list, of course, supplies them with all the food that they need, to meet the meal plan. And the meal plan takes in consideration whatever the person's goals are, but more specifically. The meal plan is designed to encourage you to get fresh stuff to cook and I provide recipes too because people are like, okay, I got all this stuff, but what do I cook? How do I do all that? So I give them simple recipes, things that maybe they haven't done before, but they still taste good. And you're like, wow,
Mm,
I can cook this. This is really easy. I got my shopping list here. I've got recipes here. Now I'm eating healthy, and we some of the meal plan involves the leftovers from the time before, and then that keeps you on the straight and narrow in terms of eating healthy. So if you do the food preparation ahead of your fasting, you say, okay, I'm going to be fasting for 2 weeks. So let me figure out what am I going to be eating when I'm off the fast, and let me make a list and get that, go to the store and get that, get the stuff, and then prepare it ahead of time so that, when the time comes for me to eat, I just don't grab the first thing I see, which is a bag of chips and some donuts or something like that. And then everything that I've worked on is like gone again. So
Mm-hmm.
if you need help with that, I can do that.
We will put your website up in
Yes,
the chat,
please.
Lynnis, because people need to get hold of you, because this is such important information that you give to us every time you
Yes.
come to the show. Thank you so much.
Wellnesswoman40.com is my website. And let me just invite all your listeners to my Wellness Woman 40 Spa Day on September 21st. It starts at 9 a.m. and it's going to be awesome. It's at my home. And it's in the backyard of my home. I have a swimming pool and a large area there. And we're going to be doing yoga, meditation, aromatherapy sessions, raising our vibrations. We're also going to be doing water aerobics, and we're going to have a nice spa lunch. And also, massage therapist is going to be there to teach us how to do self-massage. And it's going to be great. The cost is $60 a person. Or if you bring your girlfriend, you and your girlfriend, is $80 for the two of you. So just go to my website at wellnesswoman40.com and click on the spa day up on the top there. You'll see spa day. Click on that, and that will take you to more information about it.
Great.
Wow, that sounds great. Between the
What was
boot
that
camp
date?
and the spa
The
day.
date was September what?
21st.
21st.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great.
And I
I'll
live, for
post
those of you in California or in Sacramento, I live in the Fair Oaks area. So. Okay.
Well, thank you again, Lynnis. You're just such a jewel for us. We love having you on the show.
Thank
And
you.
I'll put all this up in the chat, after the show is over.
Okay.
But I don't have anything else except to announce that next week we will be seeing Erin Sum, our confidence coach. And so we'll hear from her and get some wisdom from her about raising our confidence and getting rid of those, what do they call them, stinking thinking things that we do to ourselves.
Yes.
And Lynnis, thank you so much. We'll see you again back in
You're
September.
welcome.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
See you then. Thank you so much.
Guys, I just want to thank you so much for your time. Robin, as always, you always have such great guests. Thank you, Lynnis. I got confused about the fatty fish, but now I know that I was thinking the right thing. Okay. Thank you for clearing that up for me.
Yeah, I don't know why they call it fatty fish. It just kind of seems like a misnomer. What? Why do they
Yeah, it
want to do
does.
that?
But I did have it in my brain, so when you clarified that, that's good. So I was thinking the right thing. Guys, I just want to
Good.
thank you and remind you that tomorrow is Friday, so we'll be talking to the Tech Divas. Don't forget to tune in. We'll be talking tech in English and giving you tips and tools to help you do business better. So with that, I just want to say to
Oh,
everybody,
wait.
yes, dear.
You know what? We have a
There's
question. Lynnis, maybe you can answer it in the text, but
okay.
Brenda had a question that I
Oh,
missed. I'm so
did you miss?
sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Should we go ahead and answer it now? So her
Yes.
question is, doesn't fasting too long mess up the metabolism? Intermittent is normal because our ancestors didn't have food 24/7. So
Wow.
that was
Well,
Brenda's
I know,
question.
right. Intermittent fasting doesn't, but just fasting for like days on end. I'm not saying that it's bad for you, but you really need to know what you're doing in terms of how you come off that fast. It's really important how you come off the fast. I know some people who fast for religious purposes. This is an interesting story. I have a friend who fasts all the time for religious purposes, 30, 60 days or whatever. And then when she comes off the fast, I think she does it a little bit gentle, and then she just eats whatever she wants. Well, I've noticed that she has gained tons of weight in the last 5 years. Now, part of it is because we're just getting older, but the other part I know is because of the fasting. Because what happens is when you starve your body like that, when you finally do introduce calories to it, it's going to hang on to it because it doesn't know when it's going to get it again. So it hangs on to it longer and doesn't work through it as long because it doesn't know when it's going to get fed again because you have been starving it for 30, 40 days or whatever. So if you're trying to lose weight by not eating, that might be a mistake, because when you finally do eat, your body's going to grab onto whatever you introduce it to, even healthy stuff, and you might have a little weight gain as a result. The healthiest way to do it is to do intermittent fasting, and then over time begin to change how you eat to support the weight that you are losing. When you do that 30-day fast, if you are going to come off of it, have a plan on how you're going to support all the weight that you just got through losing so that you don't gain it back. And that plan probably would have to involve lots of liquids, no flesh, no sugar, no hardly any carbs at all, a lot of fiber. And that's really, really hard to do after you've been starving yourself for, 60 days. Some people, though, when they come off of these long fasts for religious purposes, it takes a while for them to get an appetite or to want to eat again. But they do eat again, and they gain. What if they did lose weight? They definitely gain it back, and then some.
Wow.
That's pretty much average. Yeah.
Because of the storage issues. Because your body thinks you're starved, it's going to starve again, so it starts storing things. And gotcha. Wow.
Because the body's going to always do what it needs to do to try to protect itself, even if that means hurting you. If that makes sense.
Remember, you're just a container.
Kind of like when you're carrying a baby. Baby takes everything it needs from you, and whatever you got left, that's you. That's it.
It's just on you, right?
Yeah, right. So you got to realize the body goes into automatic and does its own stuff, but you can train it. But it does take time. It takes being present, and it takes planning. It does take some planning, which I think is not a bad thing. That's a good thing.
It's a beautiful thing. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty then. So with that, I just want to remind you, see you tomorrow at 8 for the Tech Divas. And don't forget to go to the front of your own line. Have a great day. Thank you again, Lynnis and Robin.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.